This is United Tribes News Radio. We bring you insights into Native culture, into Native people, ideas and topics to improve understanding. I'm Alicia Heglin-Thorpe. I'm with the Office of Public Information at United Tribes Technical College. And thank you for listening to United Tribes News Radio on Super Talk 1270. Lots going on today. Today's topics include the second year of a terrifying event at United Tribes Technical College. If you like extra spooky Halloween fun, we have an event next weekend to put you in the spirit of things, and we'll have live guests in the studio to explain. October 6, 2017 was proclaimed as First Nations Day, an event that has been happening in our state since 2003. But this year, the event offered community points of view and a focus on preventing tragedies and more accountability in Indian country. We'll have more on that later in the show. First, the 13th annual United Tribes Child Find Carnival is scheduled for Thursday, October 26th from 6 to 7:30 at the James Henry Gym on the UTTC campus. This event offers fun activities and important information about early intervention services like screenings, development, safety, parent resources, and nutrition, just to name a few. United Tribes Technical College and the Theodore Jamerson Elementary School host the event, and area community organizations participates. The admission is free. Door prizes will be awarded. This is open to the community. Children will receive a sports pack, and all campus families and all community families are invited to this event. Child Find is a component of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It requires states to identify, locate, evaluate, and refer all children with disabilities who are in need of intervention or special education services. And here they provide the earliest possible identification for young children and their families who may benefit from early intervention or education services. So for more information on that, you can contact Tamara Bitts at 530-0677. 530-0677. Again, that is Thursday, October 26th from 6 to 7:30. It's the TJES and United Tribes Technical College Child Find Carnival. The UTTC Land Grant Extension Program and the Wellness Program are offering a free diabetes wellness class starting Monday, October 30th from 4:30 to 6. This is a 6-week class. With each week, there's a new topic. And this event is not limited to those just with diabetes. If you're predisposed to it or living with a family member who has diabetes, or even if you just want to learn more about the prevention of it, you are welcome to these sessions. You don't have to be a member of United Tribes family to participate. It's open to the community and to the public. It's for 6 Mondays in a row, starting October 30th. And it's strongly encouraged to attend all 6 classes as each topic is different. CEUs will be available. And so to register, call Mara at 221-1435, 221-1435, and the first class starts October 30th. Other fun things happening on the United Tribes campus. The annual pumpkin carving is October 24th. Things get started around 6:15, and that will be in the Healing Room in the Wellness Center, and this also is a free event. The annual United Tribes Technical College Masquerade Powwow is set for Saturday, October 28th from 1 to 5 in the afternoon. This will take place in the James Henry Gym on the campus of United Tribes. It's sponsored by the Cultural Committee. There'll be over $2,500 in prize money. Payouts are up to the 3rd place. Categories are as follows: college students, which is any college students, teens, juniors, tiny tots. All tiny tots win. They're just so cute to watch them dance. So all of those will definitely win a prize. And a category for the public. The community members are also invited to come out and dance and see what it's all about. Dress up in your Halloween best. There will be a costume contest. There's also dance specials that are Kahominy dance, potato dance, and the street dance. And if you don't know what those are, come on out and find out. You could also win prize money for your best costume. There's also a cutest baby contest. There's also a cakewalk and a 50-50 raffle. Grand entry is 1 p.m. This is Saturday, October 28th, the annual United Tribes Technical College Masquerade Powwow. Thunderbird athletics teams, both men's and women's, are fired up and ready to get their season started. The first home game will be on the road at Little Bighorn College in Montana. That's November 2nd. And our first home game will be November 9th against Stonechild College. The men's coaches are Pete Conway, who is the athletic director as well, also Eric Abbey. Kelsey Peltier returns as the head women's coach this year, and we welcome Shauna Knife as the new assistant women's coach. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we just finished the Break the Silence, End the Violence walk on United Tribes campus. Over 100 people from the community and the campus participated, and we want to thank you all who participated and, of course, to the organizers of the event. Saturday, October 21st, you can support the Native American Arts and Crafts at the American Indian Arts, Crafts, and Entrepreneur Fair from 10 to 4 at the Unitarian Universalist Church. You can find beadwork, jewelry, clothing and accessories, baked goods, traditional foods, and even professional services. It's a great time to get ahead on your Christmas shopping and support local Native artisans. The event is sponsored by the Sacred Pipe Resource Center. And if you would like to sell your goods, you can still get in on all the fun. Call Cheryl at 426-1315. 426-1315. That's October 21st. That's tomorrow from 10 to 4 at the UU Church in Bismarck. That's 818 East Divide Avenue, just north of the Capitol building. And on the way, we'll find out how a local haunted house attraction is helping to benefit United Tribe students. That's coming up.
Right now, 60.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to United Tribes News Radio. I'm Alicia Heglin-Thorpe with the Office of Public Information at United Tribes Technical College. Now, Halloween is just around the corner, and for many, it's their favorite time of the year. And UTTC is getting into the spirit of things and offer avid Halloween fans something to scream about. How's that? My in-studio guests this morning are Tom Braun and Wayne Junt. Tom and Wayne are the men behind the Horror on Harmon. And also joining them is United Tribes Technical College Career and Technical Education Director, and also the Horror on Harmon Liaison, Sheridan McNeil. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a pretty big event happening next weekend, October 27th and 28th. Big days on campus. What are we looking at? What is it?
Well, it's Horror on Harmon. It's the 17th year that we're doing this haunted house, 15 years at my house, and now the second year at United Tribes campus.
Okay, and so tell us a minute here, take us back, Tom. Horror on Harmon, the humble beginnings of everything.
The very humble beginning was in 2001, Halloween night. It was about 5:30, and I thought wow, wouldn't this be cool if I had a little haunted house for the trick-or-treaters to come through? So ripped off a cardboard box, neon paint, sprayed it on, Horror on Harmon. It was me, a strobe light, and scary music, and 25 trick-or-treaters came through that first year.
That is very humble beginnings. Absolutely. The cardboard, the neon paint.
Yep.
And, man, it's grown since then.
Yeah, it had grown every year after that. I had a couple more volunteers. In 2002, I started getting media attention because of the yard display. I did a big yard display, and so I would get in the paper and news and things like that. And it wasn't until 2004 when we hooked up with the charities, and that's where we've been ever since. And then it really ballooned after that. Okay. And so you kind of outgrew your space. Yeah, around 2013, we were like, this is getting too much. Traffic was crazy. 2015, we announced that we were done. Horror on Harmon was no longer. In the back of our minds, I think we all knew that probably wasn't the case, but that's what we said.
And thus steps in United Tribes Technical College.
Right.
And that's and Sheridan, are you able to tell us a little more how we formed that relationship with United Tribes and Horror on Harmon and what it's all about?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everyone. So Tom had actually made some connections. I'm not sure, I don't remember who through or anything, but a meeting was set up basically. And so I've known Tom for a number of years. And so when I had found out that he was potentially looking at United Tribes to become Huron Harmon's new home, I was like, I need to be there. And so because my family and I had volunteered up at their Huron Harmon when it was at his house, before. So it was just a natural fit. And and then we just making it happen. So
you brokered the deal, and here we are.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little more about it. How is United Tribes involved then?
So we kind of provide, obviously, the building for it. The president, had us go check out a few buildings on campus. And when we drove by the old internment, United Tribes used to be an old internment camp for Japanese and German soldiers. Yeah. So we have a lot of buildings on campus that are over 100 years old. So a lot of really rich history there, and a lot of pretty creepy history. And so when we drove by to take a look at the building, the old hospital, which is where Huron Harmon is at now, we said we need that building. And so went and took a look at it, and it was the perfect fit for, these two twisted minds sitting here in studio. So
So how long does it take then to put something like this together?
We generally start really getting into the nuts and bolts of it around Labor Day. So, and that's always what we've done. Labor Day weekend is the end of summer and the start of Halloween, in my opinion. And it takes us literally close to that 2 months before it's finally we're good to go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wayne, tell us how you got involved.
Tom had actually asked me several years before I joined, when I worked with him to help him, and I was just about to have my daughter, and I said, no, I want to spend Halloween trick-or-treating. When she was 3 years old, Tom and I ran into each other again at a gymnastics building, and Tom asked me again, and I said, she's old enough to go on her own, and I joined Tom for Halloween. First year, I was just an actor for him. That was as far as I thought I was going to go. I mentioned we need more stuff, and it's gone on from then.
You need more stuff? You go get it. Come on back, right?
We actually went to Menards to buy a couple boards, and they actually had a haunted house that they used to set up in Menards.
Oh, yeah.
And they had it for sale, and it included wood, walls, all kinds of stuff. So we bought that, and that's what started the buildings.
Okay, so that's how it started out on Harmon, was with those buildings from.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, that was in their old Menards building. They used to do to sell their stuff. They did a little walkthrough in their Halloween department, and then when they moved to their present building, they weren't going to do that anymore. So that's why that stuff became available.
Now, I understand that you are like the only days of the year is Halloween and what? Your birthday. Right. So tell me what your favorite part is about the haunted house, about Huron Harmon.
My favorite part?
Well, I'm sure there's a ton. But...
Yeah. I mean, just scaring people in general is really a lot of fun. And just seeing their reactions and how different people react. It's
throwing punches?
Okay, that happens. But I mean, you just got to be quick and light on your feet. It doesn't happen as often as you might think, or I think a lot of people just kind of freeze. That's a good one. They bury their head away from you because if they can't see you, you're not there, apparently.
Oh, sure.
We get that one a lot.
Happy thoughts, happy place.
Yep. It's we had. I was just telling this story the other day. We had a local high school football team. A bunch of their members came through, and they were so intensely scared because some of the actors actually knew them and were calling out their names, and the football players were just like trembling. It was really fun.
And so here we go. October 27th and 28th. Ready to get the pants scared off. Yeah, let's put it that way, right?
Yes.
And you had mentioned earlier that this is for charity, right?
Always has been.
Yep. And so this year and last year too, we benefited United Tribes in what capacity? That was for.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that, one of the reasons that I've always really loved to help Tom and Wayne out at the Huron Harmon events, and my family does, but because it's truly that they put all of their work, time, and effort into things, and they just hand over the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds to whatever charity that they were benefiting. And when we had met to talk about, this possible collaboration, they were the same thing, like we want a new home, we need a bigger home, and we love this building, and we want to donate it to student scholarships. And, they just really wanted to help students out in that way. So, what a blessing, and at the same time, Halloween is my favorite too. So, and I thought I had a twisted mind, and you meet up with these guys, and it's like takes it to a whole nother level. So,
I didn't know that existed. That's pretty twisted.
So, it's just a win-win. We get to do something fun for the community and bring out community members to our campus while raising, some money to help our students. So it's fantastic.
And so last year, tell us about what happened last year. We had a lot of people come through your doors in 2 nights. Because normally this was a one-night deal, right?
Right.
In the past?
Yes, and when it was at my house, it was a free will donation as well. So the entry fee is $5. And we had 1,100 between the two evenings. I think it was a little over 500 on Friday and the rest on Saturday.
And so what do you think we're going to get this year? Wow. What are you hoping for?
What are we hoping for?
I'm hoping to at least get 700 each night.
Yeah, that'd be a good number.
I mean,
you guys can handle that.
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
Your actors can handle all that.
Oh yeah.
Easily.
Our actors, if there's a minute between groups, they're like, are there more people coming?
Yeah,
are there more people coming?
They get antsy.
It's once you get that first scare, you want more.
Yeah, that adrenaline.
And it's
addicting.
Such a rush. So, and people enjoy being scared, otherwise they wouldn't come out.
No matter what they try and tell you.
Yeah.
So now people have to stand in line.
Yes.
You have to stand in line, wait to get in, and you take in how many people at a time?
4.
Okay. And so tell me about what they can expect while they're waiting.
While they're waiting in line?
Yeah.
The minute they walk through the gates, they're ours. They are ours. Once they walk through those gates, it's no holds bar, and they become our property.
We have entertainment from the time you walk in till the time you walk out, and I'm talking not out of the haunted house, but out of the gates. Mm-hmm. Because even after you come out of the house, we're still there for you. So,
concession? Is there like concessions and refreshments for people, or is that?
Yep. So that's another cool thing about this is that we open it up to our clubs on campus for their fundraisers. So this year, our automotive club will be hosting concessions there. Last year, our welding club hosted.
Oh.
Okay. And if I remember right, last year we raised about 3,500 or so.
This is like 50.
I'm sorry, 5,300.
There you go.
They're backwards.
Yeah.
So let's double that. No, right?
Yes. All right.
Volunteers. There's a lot of people that are behind the scenes here to make this happen.
Yeah.
We generally get in between 80 to 90 volunteers that come out and just help scare people, do makeup, take tickets, just help out with security.
People who are really dedicated to doing this.
They are. They have to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to deal with Tom and myself.
The one thing then that I see I think it's on the poster, more scares per square foot than any other haunted attraction in North Dakota. How can you claim that?
Because we have been to most of the ones in around the area. We go to Minnesota, we go to South Dakota, and we check out various haunted houses. There's only a couple that we actually said, okay, that's better than ours. But not
many.
Yeah, and we have 90 actors, so wherever you walk, something's happening.
So when you take the square footage of that building and how many people you have per square foot, there you go.
Right.
See, it's true. More scares per square foot than any other haunted attraction in North Dakota. You heard it here. Thank you so much, Tom, Wayne, Sheridan, and the we're benefiting the United Tribes Technical College Student Scholarships. Gates open at 7 p.m. and who knows when they close, right? But make sure you get in line early. That's the other thing you wanted to talk about.
We do close at 11, regardless if there's a line or not. Our actors are all volunteers, so we can't make them stay long.
Sure. So get there early, 7 p.m. Doors open, and it's October 27th and 28th at United Tribes Technical College. Follow the signs. That would be Horror on Harmon. You'll find it on Facebook, too. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Right Now 60.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to United Tribes News Radio on Super Talk 1270. You know, we just had a couple of guests in our studio with Horror on Harmon, and Town Square is a sponsor of that as well. And what we wanted to mention, what I forgot to mention, you get to talking to friends and you just forget what you're going to say. The promo that we're running on 103.3 U.S. Country is also where you can win tickets to the Horror on Harmon. There's VIP passes that's the grand prize. And what that's going to give you is a limo ride to Ruby Tuesday, dinner for 4, limo ride for 4 from Nightlife, and Ruby Tuesday dinner for 4. And then they take you down to United Tribes campus, which is in South Bismarck, and you get front of the line passes to get into Horror on Harmon. So if you want to win passes to that, go to 103.3 U.S. Country's website and register. And the last day to register for that is October 25th at midnight. That's when they will be giving away those VIP passes. Otherwise, you can still win 4 passes to get in, too. And joining me now, kind of transitioning from all things scary to all things baddie. In the studio with me now is Mandy Gwynn, who is a member of the research faculty at United Tribes Technical College, Environmental Science and Research. Tell us a bit about yourself and your journey to United Tribes and why this is such a baddie conversation.
Yeah, so I am a faculty member, like you said, in the Environmental Science and Research Department. And I've been a faculty there for about 9 years and teach a variety of courses. So I teach biology, chemistry, I teach some of the advanced courses like genetics, evolution, and some of my favorite courses, which are research courses for our students. Okay.
And have you taught anywhere before this, or were you just, how did you get to United Tribes?
Right. So, well, from a lot, starting when I was young, I was a scientist at heart, and I pursued my dream of becoming a scientist, and I attended Concordia College, where I got my bachelor's degree in science. And at that time, I met a PhD student who was teaching at Sitting Bull College. We ended up getting married.
Hey,
and so I got a position offered through a mutual friend at United Tribes, and I took that position and fell in love with teaching. And then we kind of developed this research program where all of our students that come in get an opportunity to do research. And I got to take a lead in that, or kind of charge that.
Sure.
And so now we get to have these fun projects like researching bats in the state.
Researching bats, yes. Okay, and it's funny on the timing on this because it's right around Halloween, and everybody likes to use bats as their decorations. And so you're going to be speaking next week as part of the Visiting Scientist series. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. So Tuesday night at 7 o'clock at United Tribes. In the Science and Tech building, second floor, we're having about an hour presentation just about the bat populations in North Dakota. And so I hope to have a good turnout and entertain people with a little bit of our knowledge of what we've learned from our research, tell them a little bit about the populations in the state, and then also the populations right on campus.
Right, and let's talk about that. I mean, there obviously is a large population of bats.
Yeah, so in the state,
we have so many trees. And
in the state, we have 11 different species, and we are fortunate enough on campus to have 5 of those species right there. So just going out and setting up traps in the middle of the summer, we can catch these 5 different species, and it's provided a really solid foundation for our research. So vast number of species, and they're all different. So they enjoy United Tribes have these great old trees. They have these old buildings with small little holes, and so we can help those populations thrive by letting them use our trees and use our buildings.
Right. So what are you finding out with your research? What is the angle of your study?
Right. So if we look at bat studies that have been done in North Dakota, there's really no research that's been done, just a handful of studies. And so we don't know a lot about our populations here. And so everything that we go out and do is kind of new or novel just to our North Dakota research. What we do know about populations across the U.S. is that they're in rapid decline. There's a fungus that's affecting all the populations many of the populations and wiping them out, between 90 and 100% of the entire populations. And that fungus is moving our direction. And so with knowing very little about our bat species, we don't know how to really provide conservation efforts to protecting them.
I'm sorry, when you say fungus, are you talking about like a tree fungus? Or are you talking about...
No, so it's a fungus that is just specific to bats. It's called white nose fungus. It gets under their... or in their hair and in their cuticles in their skin, causes them to wake up during hibernation, and then they ultimately starve to death because they go out to eat and there's no food and they've used up all those energy resources. And so as it attacks those populations, they're dying. But they're also, those that survive and get to another roost where that fungus isn't, they start spreading that fungus. And so we're seeing transmission and movement from where it started in New York in 2006 to now it's in Minnesota. Just right next door. And so once it hits, we might be suffering some consequences.
So you haven't seen it here yet?
No, and that's one thing. We do take precautions. We obviously have some protocols that we follow in case we do find it. And every year we just hope that we don't catch the bat that has it. But at this point, we have fairly stable populations and healthy populations in North Dakota. But like I said, we're putting that research out there so that we know what to do if it does hit.
I'm fascinated, and we can talk about this forever. And I didn't know I like to talk about bats so much, but I'm concerned about that fungus now that you talk about, because if it's wiping out 90 to 100% of populations of bats, when that hits North Dakota, and it's not a if, it's a when.
Well, yeah. So we've seen it jump actually from Minnesota, and 2 years ago, it was actually discovered in Washington State. And so it's actually jumped across us. So it is probably going to be here. It is a matter of time. If it passes us by, good, but then we need to know why it passed us by as well.
So when you're physically looking at these bats, you're looking to see the conditions of them and where they've been roosting, things like that?
Yep. So we focus.
Roosting?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, that's what they do. They roost. We focus on their health. So we'll take measurements, that tell us whether or not they're healthy bats. We look at their skin condition. We look if there are, bats can carry mites or bed bugs in their colonies, and so we monitor that. We look at their wing condition to see if they have trauma on their wings. Because that all tells a story about what's happening with those populations. So.
And it's not that you're actually in there fixing things, you're just observing. You can't administer things during this research, or can you?
Well, we can learn from it. So we do capture the bats. Like I said, we handle them. We actually are doing some genetic studies to learn more about their DNA and their populations, where they're coming from, who they're mating with, different things like that.
Are you finding that maybe the DNA is making them more... what's the word? Not susceptible, but maybe the strain of this fungus might be helping them, or is there anything that shows that?
Yeah, so we're, the research hasn't told us anything like that yet, but we're definitely, we're looking at, through some of the genetic things that we're doing. So we're looking at what are they eating? So we can take their guano or their poop, and we can do genetic analysis on it to see what mosquitoes are they eating? What pest species are they eating in terms of, agriculture and pests and stuff like that? So then we can figure out, how will this affect us eventually? I don't think we've really seen anything or haven't studied anything in their DNA that says that they're more susceptible or not to a fungus. We do know the populations that we expect it to hit, which are smaller bats. Our larger ones tend to be a little more protected.
Sure. So with your research now, is this published anywhere, or is it just something that you're presenting, or how does that work?
Yep, we do have a couple publications, but most of our research that is done on these bats is student-driven. So all of our students have to do a research project. And when they come into our program, if they want to work on bats, they get to work on bats. But they discover what they want to work on. So whether it's looking at guano or doing molecular analysis on their tissues to see who they're mating with, whatever, they bring those research topics. And so it's always new and different. And so, we're always learning different things, but they're driving that research.
And when you say that there isn't that much research on bats, that's just surprising to me, because everybody knows what bats are and where they live, more or less. But you're saying physically there's very little studies of bats in North Dakota.
Right. So bats kind of get a bad rap,
they do,
right?
Don't
they get the Halloween rap. They get the bad rap. There's a lot of misconceptions about bats.
Stereotyping.
Yes. And so we're trying to break that down, bringing awareness of the good things. In this state, there's been about 5 researchers total, counting our students that have come in and done any sort of research on North Dakota bats. So not the same across the U.S., but nothing in North Dakota.
Sure.
And we have some dynamic populations and some unique geography in the state that we need to be considering.
And we'll be able to find out more then on your research with the Visiting Science Series. Can you tell us again when it is and when and where?
Yep. So the Visiting Science Series is happening at United Tribes Tuesday, the 24th at 7 o'clock in the Science Building, which is just south of Burley at United Tribes.
Take the Burley Avenue entrance.
Take the Burley Avenue. Yep.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and good work. I'm excited to hear more about it.
Yeah, thanks. Hope to see you there.
Yeah, thank you.
Right now, 65.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to United Tribes News on Super Talk 1270. My name is Alicia Heglin-Thorpe with the Office of Public Information at United Tribes Technical College. First Nations Day in North Dakota in October and Native American Heritage Awareness Month in November recognize the indigenous peoples of the state of North Dakota and their contributions to the United States. Since 2003, the governor has issued a proclamation every year designating the Friday before the second Monday in October as First Nations Day and the month of November as Native American Heritage Awareness Month. On Friday, October 6th, the proclamation was made at the North Dakota Heritage Center by the state to recognize First Nations and by the city of Bismarck as well. This year's program was focused on recent developments of missing and murdered Indigenous women in North Dakota, especially since the tragic death of Savannah LaFontaine Greywind in August had occurred. This has brought a lot of attention to our state and the problems facing Indigenous women. We're going to start now with the First Nations Day proclamation.
Proclamation First Nations Day, October 6, 2007, Native American Heritage Month, November 2017. Whereas First Nations Day recognizes North Dakota's indigenous people and their unique role in shaping the history and the culture of this state, as well as the history and culture of this nation. And whereas the American Indian people continue to play a vital role, an integral role in shaping the future of our state and nation by making important and distinctive contributions to our culture and our society. And whereas American Indian people, tribal governments, colleges, and businesses play a critical role in strengthening their communities and growing North Dakota's economy. And whereas the 65th North Dakota Legislative Assembly affirmed the work of the North Dakota Tribal and State Relations Committee and reauthorized its work in continuing to develop and strengthen state and tribal partnerships. And whereas on First Nations Day and throughout Native American Heritage Month, we reflect on the significance of the U.S. Constitution and all it represents: justice, equality, and the preservation of liberty for all Americans. And whereas North Dakotans are encouraged to commemorate the long-standing cooperative relationship formed among tribal nations, the state of North Dakota, and to support the continuing fostering of these important partnerships as we work toward a shared future of growth and success. Now, therefore, as Governor of the State of North Dakota, I do hereby proclaim October 6, 2017, First Nations Day, and November 2017, Native American Heritage Month in the State of North Dakota. Governor Doug Burgum. So every year, with our committees, we come up with a theme in recognition of our relative Savannah and what happened to her and her family. Sent a big wave across not only our state, but across the nation. And the timing for this year's event and the theme, as you have known the theme here, is pretty important, but I think it's going to shed a lot more light. I think it's going to be a springboard to something even bigger, not only in our state, but throughout Indian country. And also the timing with Senator Heitkamp. I'm sure you've read in the papers or got notices through your tribal news outlets of the new federal legislation that Senator Heitkamp is currently sponsoring. So with that, please welcome Joanne from the Senator Heitkamp's office.
Senator Heitkamp has some words she wanted me to share with you today. I would like to take this time to honor and remember Savannah LaFontaine Graywind, whose story has been on the forefront of my mind since her passing. Her death was an incredible tragedy, and unfortunately one that happens too often to Native women. I have long discussed the high rates of violence against Native women. Native women are twice as likely to experience sexual violence, and in some tribal communities, they face murder rates that are more than 10 times the national average. This must stop, and we must do all we can to tear down the barriers to bring justice for missing and murdered Native women nationwide. More needs to be done to ensure that the data on missing and murdered Native women is officially collected and their cases are not ignored or forgotten. To address this, I have introduced Savannah's Act in memory of Savannah LaFontaine Graywind to begin to address these issues. Savannah's Act will improve tribal access to federal crime information databases for missing persons and mandate that the Attorney General consult with tribes on how to further improve these databases and their access to them. This bill will also tackle the difficulties law enforcement faces when a Native woman goes missing or is murdered by creating standardized protocols for responding to these cases, including guidance on interjurisdictional cooperation among tribal, federal, state, and local law enforcement to help law enforcement act quickly. Lastly, it will require an annual report to Congress on the statistics of missing and murdered Native women and recommendations for how to improve the collection of that data. It is crucial that we work on preventative measures to keep our inherently vulnerable populations, such as Native women and children, from falling victim to horrific acts of violence, such as human trafficking and domestic violence. Educating communities on the signs of domestic violence and human trafficking, having culturally relevant victim services, and an adequate amount of properly trained law enforcement are all necessary to help end violence against Native Americans. It is our job to do everything we can to ensure that our communities are safe and that Native women receive the resources they need. Please know that I will continue to fight for the needs of Native women and for all of Indian country. Sincerely, Heidi Heitkamp, United States Senate.
I want to introduce our keynote speaker, Lisa Bruner. She's enrolled in the White Earth Ojibwe Nation out of Minnesota. She is the founding member of the Violence Against Women Task Force for NCAI, which is the National Congress of American Indians. So let's welcome Lisa.
I was asked to raise the awareness of violence against our Native American and Alaska Native women. We have passed that threshold, people, a long time ago. I'm here to help raise our collective consciousness. According to the Department of Justice statistics, American Indian and Alaska Native women are victims of sexual violence 2.5 times higher than the national average of the United States compared to all other races. Statistically, 67% of those perpetrators of sexual violence are non-Native. Of that 67%, 57% are white males. Native American and Alaska Native people as a collective are victims of violent crimes 2.5 times higher than for all other races in the United States. 1 in 3 Native women will be raped in her lifetime. On some Indian reservations, as stated, Native women are murdered up to 10 times higher than the national average of the United States of America. Talking about it is not going to help. Being proactive and action-oriented and really being methodical and utilizing critical thinking skills on what can we do to change the path that we're on. It's our responsibility. Why are we as Native women faced with the highest rates of violence in the entire country? It's not because of the color of our skin, people. If it had to do with the color of our skin, then it would be equatable with all other brown-skinned women. It's about who we represent as Native women from sovereign tribal nations. We are sovereign women. Our status in this country is based on our treaties with the United States, and those treaties are intricately linked to our continued survival. The only population that statistically and systematically is not recorded through the country regarding our murdered and missing is our Native women and Alaska Native women. So when they're not counting the data, even though they have the ability to count the data, we're still invisible. And when they do that, it silences victims. Meanwhile, when we look at the totality of what trauma does, is it any wonder why we have alcohol and drug issues? Why we have the suicide rates that are the highest in the country? It's all linked to this, and if we can get that response to validate them that, yes, we know this happened to you, we are sorry, what can we do to help? That's what we need to be doing. Yeah, we can say we need access to these databases. Yes, that's crucial. But we need a national inquiry. And we need to have listening sessions to occur in Indian country, to occur in urban areas, and to occur in Alaska Native villages. And you can do that. Call upon your senators, your representatives, your tribal leaders, and say, we need a national inquiry. The epidemic we face is a human rights issue. It's a sovereign-to-sovereign nation issue, and an issue a few hundred years past due. We count on this system. It was a forced dependency, yes, but we count on the systems to help us, to save us, and they're not there to do that. We have to step up and take that initiative. We are interdependent people. We need each other, and we can only heal, we can only create change when we come together. So lay your egos down, lay your racial biases down, change your level of ignorance, who may have it, become knowledgeable. And please remember, no one's religion or spiritual practices and beliefs are more important than the other, and no one's religion is the only one. So for the love of humanity, act with humanity in all you do.
Highlights of the First Nations Day from North Dakota. From the North Dakota Heritage Museum that took place October 16th in Bismarck. Joanne Beckman, representing Senator Heidi Heitkamp, read Savannah's act, an act that would improve access to federal crime information databases and establish protocols for responding to cases of missing and murdered Native Americans. Also, we heard powerful words from Lisa Bruner, White Earth Ojibwe Nation, a founding member of the Violence Against Women Task Force for the NCAI, the National Congress of American Indians. The event was hosted by the Native American Development Center of Bismarck, sponsored by the North Dakota State Historical Society, the Mandan Hidatsa Arikara Nation, North Dakota Indian Affairs Commission, and United Tribes Technical College. Missing and murdered Indigenous women in North Dakota is a real issue, and to date, in 2017, as of today, 118 Indigenous women are missing in North Dakota. We encourage communities to come together to engage in conversation on how to help prevent these types of things from happening. You can help. Just break the silence and the violence and start a conversation. Thank you for listening. And thank you, Supertalk 1270 and Town Square Media, listener family, for the opportunity to share our knowledge and insight with you today. And from all of us at United Tribes Technical College, have a wonderful weekend.